But I believe that by overwhelming majority, you and I, in the long run, and if it be necessary, you and I will act together to protect, to defend, by every means at our command.
Western culture has inherited a visual vocabulary for heaven and hell. One, a place of beauty and serenity, the other of despair, torment and violence. But where did these artistic representations come from? Apparently not the Old Testament. So where did they come from? And it's up for debate. The Last Judgment, a 13th century Byzantine ceiling mosaic at the Florence Baptistry, as you can see, is very, very graphic, some weird images in it. So to what extent is our Western concept of heaven and hell shaped by art? I think it is. And if we're honest, it completely is entirely the propaganda of art that has formed what we today imagine is heaven and hell, also in films and TV. And if you pause that last bit, you'll see Mickey Mouse in the stomach. Thanks to David for that. The artistic Correggio introduced the idea of this sort of great stadium of heaven. Correggio wanted this idea that the saints, God, the Virgin, and you and your loved ones are all in the clouds. Botticelli's The Abyss of Hell, 1485. The underworld was depicted as an abyss with descending levels of rings where categories of sinners reside. At the very lowest level, trapped in ice, is a blue demonic Satan. Now, is it blue ice or is it blue fire? Who knows? Again, open for interpretation. Why would heaven and hell need gates? It's like they are trying to portray something. Now why? Why is it? Now, beyond the description of hell in the book of Matthew as a furnace of fire, there was basically little to inspire artists until Dante's Divine Comedy. Now look at this verse from Matthew. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Matthew 10:28. Guys, that is an 11. 1 add 2 add 8 is 11. Again, 11, the doorway, the gates. One of the earliest depictions of heaven and hell as we know it today was what is known as the Les Visions du Chevalier Tondel, the visions of the Knight Tondel. In the story, Tondel is a wealthy Irish knight who passes out at a feast and goes into a deep dream journey through hell, heaven and purgatory, guided by an angel. The Tondel was commissioned by Margaret of York, Duchess of Burgundy, during the 1470s, and here's just a little image of her now. I believe she was about 6 foot, so quite tall for a lady back in that day, according to his story. So here goes, guys. Right, so I wanted to share this with you. It reminds me of Monty Python, this, but it's more depictions of Eden, hell, heaven, etc., and the damned. Now, this is by Dutch Hieronymus Bosch, and it shows the Garden of Eden and scenes of an idyllic utopia and a torment of the damned. Now, that's what its description is. It's roughly painted between 15 and 1515. No one really knows, and it's on panelling, and this is majority of it here. Now, you don't need me to tell you there's some warped, very warped and incest pictures on here. It starts off with Adam and Eve, and then it just goes down right to bestiary and animal sex, you name it, everything is in this. And I'll leave it for you guys to actually you can see it. There's people there doing the handstand. How many of you guys can do that? Answer in the comments. So you can see how warped it is and why it gave me that Monty Python-esque feeling of it, because when they do the giant feet and things, this is just what it reminded me of. And this is supposed to be an idyllic utopia that we're looking at. Oh my god, it's like, they were on ecstasy or ketamine. They're on something, you know what I mean? It's like, if this is, is this idyllic to you? Who knows, whatever floats your boat, as the saying goes. And obviously this is a picture of the hell portion. Now what's coming up, what really, really intrigued me, is there is music on one of the paintings' butts. It's called the butt music, and people have actually deciphered it and actually played it. And I'm going to play a little quick clip here of it, and I'll hopefully we'll leave the link in the description so you can listen to the full song, because obviously I don't want to get done for copyright or anything, so I'll leave the link and everything in the description for that. And obviously I'll shut up now and you can hear it. Now guys, further on in hell you get this image. Now what just made me zoom in straight away was the dice. Now look at the dice. 5 add 4 is 9, add 2 is 11. Now you might think, oh, he's going on about 11 again. Guys, when I show you how big this is with regard to 11, it's absolutely knocked me for 6. People have told in confidence before, when I was making this, what I found is so basic, and yet OMG it is, guys. It will just have you, wow, how did I not see that? And that will be coming near the end. So as you can see, a few more images, and in hell as well. It just reminded me of the Great Fire of London painting that people have seen, and this is just a depiction of hell. So guys, this is Bosch's interpretation of what he was talking about on medieval art, if you want to call it medieval art, in the 15th century, but it's in that Great Vow to Hell shift period again. And we've seen all these links of art of what Eden, hell, heaven, purgatory, the damned is all about. I'm going to show you a few more medieval ones and then get into some spell etymology. But guys, just look how crazy it is, and it's got so many hidden meanings in it, and I recommend people just start to look into it a bit more. I'm going to do that myself as well, because obviously I've just came across this when I'm making this video. Also, what's intriguing is on the outer panels of this painting or tapestry, whatever you want to call it, it's called the Garden of Earthly Delight by Bosch, obviously, is what you can see here. It's basically a rendition of flat earth under a firmament in an enclosed system, and there's God in the top left of these outer panels. Now this was done, remember, in 15 to 1515. Again, more evidence of a different theory and shape to this realm, which I always encourage people to look at. But what's intriguing me also is Bosch died a year later after painting this. Now there's no such thing as coincidence. People keep screaming to me, and what other word can I use? But I just find it's intriguing that the guy, after painting this using hidden meanings, died a year later. I was just about to move on, and I saw another one of his paintings He loved to paint on wood, as you can see on panels, and this is what's called visions of hereafter. Now, in no particular order, you had the terrestrial paradise, ascent of the blessed, hell, and fall of the damned. Now, it is beautiful and surreal, like the last one. There's so many hidden meanings in it, containing so many different, elements, all in like a dream or a vision that he's talking about. So here you go, guys. I just found it fascinating that this guy painted this in the same time as the other one and is on the same really particular topic. Now, Bosk, his second name, is not even his real name. His real name was Hieronymus van Akin, or Akin. So, he changed his name to paint, and he's painting all these surreal images that contain and talk about heaven, hell, paradise, and the damned. And obviously, because I'm talking about heaven and hell, and obviously I've got a really main point leading up to that I'm going to plan on revealing soon. I just find it fascinating that this guy's got these images out, and obviously died not long after this as well. It's just a crazy world that we live in, and is everything hidden in plain sight, and is the things hidden in all paintings for a reason. And obviously the reason I'm going to allude to will be coming soon. In this section, I want to share some other names for hell. I will get to heaven ones as well. I thought I'd start with this. The word hell is derived from an Anglo-Saxon word Helia, derived from the Old English, Old Norse, Old High German hell, Hela, circa 725 AD. Sheol, grave, is from the Hebrew Old Testament Bible, meaning grave. Now, a lot of us would have saw these images in the community, and this is just one of so many interpretations of what it is in regard to Sheol, columns of the earth, waters above the firmament, the sky, the floodgates, etc. This is just one I've chosen. Could have used any, but I thought that was the most clear. So in the King James Version of the Bible, Sheol was translated 31 times to hell, and pit 3 times. So that's the start of the contradiction. But there are many contradictions on translations on Sheol. Here's just one of them. So you can just see it mentions grave before. So the Old Testament word for the abode of the dead is Sheol. It is derived, as most scholars think, from a word meaning hollow. So you can see hollow, grave, contradiction already. To the Hebrew mind, Sheol was simply the state of or abode of the dead. It was not the same as the grave, though it was translated in some of the older versions. So that's where the misconception comes. It is said, unlike this world, Sheol is devoid of love, hate, envy, work, thought, knowledge, and wisdom. But to me, it sometimes feels like we're living in Sheol, never able to escape from its gates. Living in a ravenous beast that swallows the living without being sated. So, in Norse mythology, Hel is the queen of the realm of the dead. Obviously, people thinking hell will automatically think of hell. Now, every single person who dies from an illness, age, or is considered a coward or dishonourable by the gods and goddesses will end up in her realm called Helheim. Now, Hel is a Jotun, and she is a daughter of the trickster Loki and the giantess Angrboda. Hel is definitely not a goddess, and it is a misconception, this is where I got this from, when people assume that she is the goddess of death. She is not mentioned once as a goddess in any of the Eddas, which are considered the prime source of Norse mythology. That was something I didn't know. The Old Norse word Hel, which in English is hell, derives from the Indo-European word Kel. Therefore, both of the words can be translated into hide or cover in modern English. So you can see the things that we was talking about before. Very similar to the Hebrew Sheol, meaning hollow. It was Odin, the chief of the Aesir, who threw hell down from the sky into the depths of the underworld. Hell then made the underworld into basically her own realm, and crowned herself Queen of Helheim. Helheim also has hell is surrounded by a tall fence, which got me thinking, is that the fabled ice wall that is said to encircle this realm? Because sometimes I believe we're in hell. If I remember right, Helheim is situated in the realm of Niflheim. Niflheim is a land of mist where the frost giants dwell, so there's both ice connections to the ice wall. The one and only myth featuring hell is the poem The Death of Balder. Now there's a reason behind I'm telling you this. In this, Hermod the Brave volunteered to ride down into the darkness for 9 days on Sleipnir to bring Balder back from the dead. I believe that's Odin's horse with many legs, if I remember. When he came to the river Gjoll, one of Elvegar's 11 rivers, he had to cross the Gnoll Bridge into Helheim. But he was stopped by the maiden Mogdun, who demanded that he explain what he wanted before he was allowed to pass. When he met Hel in her realm, she would only agree to let Balder go or return with him if every last thing in the universe would weep for him. So everyone had to cry, everything. Now everything did cry except a giantess called Pok. It's believed that Pok was actually Loki in disguise, thus Balder had to stay in hell until Ragnarok. But the reason I've just told you that, as I'm alluding to in the poem, that he mentions Elvegar, the rivers at the beginning of the world. And what's the odds that that number was 11 and they go straight to hell? Or Helheim. Come on guys, this 11 is so significant, and you're in for a hell, no pun intended, and heaven surprise at the end when I reveal why. Another name for hell is Gehenna, but again, technically it shouldn't be used, as it was an actual place near Jerusalem. Just south of it, I believe, it's called the Valley of Hinnom or Gehinnom. My pronunciation's off, but no point apologising. The valley has sordid history. It was a place of idolatry, injustice, spiritual infidelity. It was here that the child sacrifices to Moloch were taking place. Moloch is another name for Janos. I've showed you that. A lot of people have shown you that. So the Valley of Gehenna was not only filled with garbage, refuse, sewage, but also with dead bodies that people were trying to basically dispose of due to crime, sickness, poverty, shame, or even war. A lot of bodies were there. So you can really see why it's referred to as hell, or a shithole as we say today. You know, I live in a shithole type of thing. But what intrigues me, and it got me, is that Gehenna is mentioned 12 times in the Bible. But here's the wow. Jesus mentions it 11 times. That's 11 again associated with hell. Why does this keep popping up? The ancient Mesopotamian underworld, most often known in Sumeria as Ker, Ikala, Huku, Arala, Kigal, and Akkadian as Eresetu. It was a dark, dreary cavern located deep below the ground where inhabitants were believed to continue a shadowy version of life on Earth. It's like what we live in now, isn't it? Great demons or devils of the ancient Mesopotamian underworld were called Galu. Now this got me thinking, let me have a look at this in Latin, and it said it was rooster. And that got me to think of Abrascus, obviously with a rooster or cock head. You have Janos with key and cock at the bottom, so you can see the symbolism of the cock straight away. I've talked about it many times in the videos, and it's always and hidden in occult meanings and symbolism and esoteric, you name it. The symbolism for a cock or a rooster is everywhere. Here you have Jesus. The cock is at its side. You then have one of the most famous being Peter, and the cock crows 3 times, or the rooster. All of these are associated with a certain god, Janos. That's just a coincidence. The most holy store in Rome What's it got on the door? Oh yes, Peter and the cock, the rooster. You have the bronze sculpture hidden in the Vatican with the cock. This says it's St. Peter. Other ones say it's Priapus, which is Janos. All this symbolism and mystical doors and gateways and tunnels and boxes, as you can see on the screen here, all with cockerels on our roosters. Roosters were used as protectors against demons. They were used in coffins and tombs to ward off demons and keep them from the dead. And as you know, on most churches and weather vanes are roosters or cocks. So are they warding off demons from the dead? In the 9th century, Pope Nicholas made the rooster official. His decree was that all churches must display the rooster on the steeples or dome as a symbol of St. Peter's betrayal of Jesus. Janos. The rooster is a symbol that's used for the Creator. You can just see it all. That's why I had Abrascus, everyone use it. The Hebrew word Yehovah means both man and rooster. Are we not gods? That's what some say anyway. So Satan is known as the adversary, right? And gallows are demons and devils. Isn't it funny that another etymology for gallow means a human adversary, one that is dangerous and implacable? I just find it fascinating that demons, which means genius also, and then you have the rooster, all connected with heaven and hell and good and bad, right? That I'm not going to go too much into the rooster or the cock because obviously I'm talking about heaven and hell. Coming up are ones that I can't pronounce, so if I butcher it, I do apologise. So Jahannam is the Arabic language equivalent of the word hell and is used in Islam to refer to the eternal abode of the fiery torment. Jahannam is divided into 7 levels that are situated below earth or each other based on the gravity of the sinners. So depending on what you've done, you go in different ones. So the least painful level is level 1, is at the top, and the most painful level is situated in the depths of the Jahannam. Number 1, Jahannam, or the first level of hell. This level is for Muslims who were sinful in the world. It has the least heat among all levels and has the least painful punishments for the sinners. Number 2, Ladar, or the second gate to Jahannam. This level is situated below Jahannam and it is for people and jinn who did not believe in Allah. Number 3, Sakhar, the third level of Jahannam, is situated below Ladar. The punishment for the people here is that the fire will eat up their flesh but not their bones. Number 4, Al-Hutama, the fourth gate of hell. It is believed that the fire here will burn the sinners to the bones and emblaze their heart and inner organs. The fire will start from their feet and then go up to their heart. Number 5, Jahim, the fifth level of Jahannam. It lies below Al-Hatam, which is a big piece of coal and is bigger than the lowest level. Sinners will be thrown here for 3 reasons, and here's the 3 reasons. They did not give correct belief to Allah, declined to give the correct right to the creations, and did not encourage feeding the poor. Number 6, Sahir, the 6th level. The level has been kindling since it was made. It consists of 300 castles and 300 huts. Each have 300 rooms, and in each room there are 300 different types of penalties. And the pain here is unimaginable, unbearable, and it is very painful. And number 7, Al-Hawaii, or Al-Hawa, the last level of Jahannam. This is the last and the worst level of hell. It is the 7th level Jahannam, situated below Sahir, and it is said that no sinner will ever be released from this level. But what I found interesting is, and intriguing is, in this faith, and like others that I've talked about so far, there is ice. Now, Sahiri is a place of extreme cold at the bottom of hell. In some Islamic sources, it is characterized as being unbearably cold, with blizzards, ice. So you can just see how intriguing it is, because I've talked about 3 or 4 hells, and each one of them talk about blue or ice or cold. That is very intriguing. So you just saw what I've done for hell. Now, a lot of you out there might be thinking, well, you missed this out, you've missed that name out, you've missed this. Well, this is not what this video is about. I just wanted to include some names for hell that even I didn't think of or know at the time. So that's why I've done it a little bit different. And now, guys, it's time for heaven. And then I will actually get to the main point of the video. But I just wanted to do something different and do it like this. So you just had some names for hell. Now it's heaven's turn. Some etymology of the word heaven. Old English, Heathon, but heaven, home of God. Earlier, the visible sky, firmament. And more from Middle English, forms including heaven, that's how I'm just saying how it looks, heaven, heaven, and hewin, heaven or sky. So intriguing. Source also of Low German Heben, Old Norse Himmin, Gothic Himmins, Old Frisian Himmel, Dutch Himmel, German Himmel, heaven or sky. It is also said it derives elaborately from pi, ak, sharp, via, akman, stone, sharp stone, then the stony vaults of heaven. Perhaps it literally means a covering from the pi root chem to cover, same as hell. Intriguing, isn't it? And then you'll find on some etymologies it will say heaven came from an uncertain origin. So there's a little bit of the etymology, and I'm just going to look into a few different heavens from different cultures, and then what we've all been waiting for, the actual point of the video. Some of the following are labelled afterlife. So I'm basically labelling them heaven. It's whether you believe an afterlife is a heaven. So it's all just wording. So in Old Norse, the word for this warrior heaven is Valhall, literally Hall of the Slain. In German, it is Walhalla, and English speakers picked up the name as Valhalla in the 18th century. So Valhall in Norse mythology is where all men who died with honour in battle go to until Ragnarok. So Valhall is presided over by Odin, and half the warriors slain in battle went there, and the other half went to Folkvanga, translates as Field of the Host or Army Field, and this was presided over by Freya. So on to the next one. This is pronounced Annwn, the Welsh otherworld. I think that's how you pronounce it. All my Welsh brothers and sisters will be screaming at the telly right now. Or phone. The Celtic otherworld is a world apart from the one we know and live in. It is hidden. Some say it's a non-world, some say it's within this world, or some say it's very deep. The hidden nature of this would result in our ancestors envisaging so many different geological locations for this world. It basically said it was everywhere. It is said it is sometimes located below ground and is entered by subterranean tunnels, or it may be below the waters of a lake or by entering the woods. Some even said it was you could enter it by going through ancient megaliths. So it's an intriguing thing, isn't it? When we have all these ancient structures all around the place. I'm not going into the politics of how they were built. Now, a medieval text called Morgan Le Fay, Magan, Duesti Amfwyn, Morgan goddess of Annwn, suggesting Annwn and Avalon are one in the same place. That's intriguing. It was essentially a world of delights and eternal youth, where disease was absent and food was ever abundant. It became identified with the Christian afterlife in paradise or heaven. I've seen it also associated with hell. J.R.R. Tolkien used the word Annwn in his Middle-earth mythology as a term in Elvish. That got my attention. Also, Henith Anun was a hidden Gondorian outpost northeast of Kai Andros in North Ithilien. So, he gets about a bit, doesn't he? And if you say Anun, spoke phonetically as Anun, it's a Sindrian word for sunset and thus used as west. And this was all from J.R. Tolkien. But some of you would automatically notice a few things. Anun, spoke as Anun, sounds like Anunnaki or even Amun Ra. So it just makes you think, and that's all we ever ask. This one's intriguing. This is basically cocaine. Now, not associated with any world religion, cocaine was a mythical land, much like heaven, where everyone got whatever they wanted. Cocaine was a medieval creation, a fairy tale paradise, first mentioned in a text from 1250. Rivers of wine were said to flow through the land, and the houses and the streets were made of pastries. Because it was a role reversal, the poor would be rich, food and sex were freely available, and sloth was treasured and respected above all else. Now, any fans of Oh Brother or Where Art Thou, one of my favourite films, cocaine is heard in a song. The American hobo myth of Big Rock Candy Mountain, which I can't stop singing now since I did this, is seen as an evolution of this tale of cocaine. Now, cocaine and its imaginary sceneries and pictures reminds me of the Hieronymus Bosch one before, where it was like a free-for-all, where they were having sex and eating food, and they were roughly done not too far apart really. So that's an intriguing one to me. Cocaine, I'd never heard of that. So there's one for you guys. Next one we've all heard of. Elysium, also known as the Elysian Fields, the Elysian Plain, or the Island of the Blessed. So we've heard of this. Elysium's purpose changed over time. For the Greeks, basically, at first only those mortals who were given special favour by the gods were allowed to enter. But eventually, the invitation was extended to all good humans. When reincarnation began to take hold in Greece or Greek mythology, Elysium was sometimes split into tiers, or some say islands. There's no really set on this, according to some of the texts, but the soul required to gain entry 4 times into Elysium before being permitted permanently to be taken to the Island of the Blessed. So they kept changing it up. It is said one of these tiers or islands, as some call them, was ruled by the Titan king Kronos, or Rhadamanthys, son of Zeus. This is interesting. I want to finish with this. This is a mirror, and I'll get to that at the end, of one from hell. Jahannam, or Jannah, also known as paradise or garden in Islam, is described in the Quran as an external afterlife of peace and bliss, where the faithful and the righteous are rewarded. The word Jannah, sounds like Janus as well, doesn't it? Comes from an Arabic word that meant or means to cover or hide something. Again, more evidence of this, to cover or hide. Islamic tradition describes Jannah or heaven as having 8 doors or gates. Each door has a name that describes the types of characteristics of the person or people who will be admitted through it. But also, some scholars basically surmise that these doors or gates are found inside Jannah after one enters the main gate. And there is also levels of Jannah. Some say 7, some say 100, others even thousands to go with the pages of the Quran. And Jannah or Jannah is a mirror to Jahannam. They are basically heaven and hell. Right guys, I'm going to show you now why I really made this video, and it excites me, and you know when I get excited I have to share it, and to me it's huge. But I have to admit, it is beneficial for anyone who's watching this to go and check out my Realm of 11 videos to get a grasp on this 11, because what's coming up will just blow your minds. So I want to share with you the journey that I was on to find what I'm just about to show you, through, you know, what happened to me in the days and the nights, because it came to me in my sleep. It actually woke me up. So we're talking about heaven and hell, and when I look at different words and different things, I always look to see if they equate to 11 in gematria. So when I put heaven, I wanted to do it separately, so I put heaven in, it came to 10. 5 and 5 equals 10. I put hell in, I got 37 and 10, and I was like, wow, that's just one off. How close could you get to 11? And it was going through me all day. And you know how I get, and I'm assuming I'm like you guys, when you know you're close to something and it's nagging, it's at the tip of your tongue, it's ready to come out, and you're just thinking, what is it? So I kept persisting. So heaven and hell, and then it came to me, well, etymology of those words, heaven, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to do that, because this is the Christian one, heaven and hell, basically, isn't it? And it started to come out with heaven and hell from the 12th century, which is the great vow to hell shift. So this is the Christian heaven and hell. Others are called, you know, what I've done in the video. So it got to me thinking, well, heaven, hell, and they both start with H. So what, Paul? Look at the etymology of the letter H. So bang, I did it, and on your screen, this is basically the etymology of the letter H. Now guys, look at it, and please tell me that is not a door. To me, that's 100% a door. And I'm thinking, well, in obviously the Christian heaven and hell, and most other religions, there's always a gate in hell and a gate in heaven. So we're talking the first letter, the letter for the etymology for the letter H, and it's a doorway. And we're always taught about heaven and hell, the pearly gates, the gate, you know, even in Greek Hades and different things, which I didn't put in because most of us know this, but most hells have gates, and heaven has, you know, gates as well. So I'm thinking, no way, it's a doorway, it's a gateway. And then you go back to the gematria, and the two H's, if you obviously stand them above each other, or whatever way you want it, heaven and hell, both are H, and there are one each. So one on either side is again the 11. So I was like, no way, I found the 11, because the etymology, the gematria spells 10, but obviously set the 0 and one on either side, the pillars, the doorway, the 11 became, and I was like, no way, is this like the paradiola where I'm making it or seeing things? And then it came to me, guys, and it made me really emotional. I don't mind saying it, I don't know, I was in tears, but I was just like, my mouth absolutely dropped. They always tell us, and people in the community say, it's role reversal. They always like to mirror things or reverse it. Correct, but you can all agree on that. So put hell at top. So you got hell at top and heaven at the bottom, right? So we know the H is a doorway. So take the doorway. So straight away you got a doorway. Take away the H. So you got hell. So take away the H. What are you left with for hell? It's L. So you got L. Let's go to heaven. Right. So take away the H from heaven. You're left with Evan. Put the L in front of the heaven, you get 11. And even saying that, guys, I get the shivers. I really do get the shivers. Heaven and hell spell 11. In my original Realm of 11 video, in my thoughts, I say, oh, doesn't heaven sound like 11? But I didn't think of putting hell with it. So you're taking the doorways which are the 11, the 1, 1, you take that off. You are left with L and heaven, 11. Guys, people, peeps, flockers, that to me kicked me in the nuts. I don't mind saying, I honestly, even now thinking of this, and I woke up in the night saying I was dreaming, and I said to myself, Paul, take the H off, and I took it off, and I said, well, that leaves L, obviously name of, God or deity, L, and then you're left with heaven. I said, well, take the H off, heaven, put the L in front, 11. That to me is one of the biggest finds that I will ever do, I believe. I've done 3, 4, 5 videos on 11 now, and to top it off, what they portray as heaven and hell spell 11. Come on, guys, I can't just be the one who sees the significance of this. I'll obviously talk about it more in my thoughts, but I just wanted to leave that bombshell with you guys, that hell and heaven, take the H off, which are the doorways, spells 11. 11. I think this is just huge, but that just might be me seeing things, and hopefully you guys will in the premiere or in the comments will see the significance of this, especially if you've watched my Realm of 11 series and videos on it and wondering where will this 11 go. I showed you it's this realm, all the jurisdiction of L. I've showed you, which I'll talk about more things in in my thoughts, guys. Just wow. Oh, and finally, I want to leave this with you guys. For those people out there who are saying, oh, he's made this shit up. He couldn't get heaven and hell to get to 11, so he made the etymology H be a door and all that. Well, I've got one thing to share with you guys. Heaven and hell, indeed, add to 11. I wanted to leave that just for last for you. Here you go, guys. In gematria, 8, 1, 2, 8 add 1 add 2 equals, you got it, 11. Right, guys, my thoughts.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep.
Hello and welcome. Hello. It's been a while. Right, since my last video, it's been about 3-4 weeks, and this is what I roughly want to try and do now. Every 3-4 weeks, get a video out. If it's a short video, I will get it up and out for you guys to watch. But I appreciate the support, guys. You don't know how much it means to me. I want to thank you, everyone who has been buying me a coffee. Heart goes out in these times. You guys don't get enough credit for the love and the support. It is humbling, and when you're in that situation, when people are doing that and liking, sharing, and getting your name out, I do really appreciate it, because for some reason, people still don't know what mad things we get on What the Flock TV and theories. So guys, here we go. We'll go on to the video now. All these things will be in the description. Also, if I remember, I will put the description for that music in the channel as well, for the Hieronymus Bosk's Earthly Light picture of the hell that was talking about. I'll try and remember that. And we'll see, because you know what I'm like. So here we go. So I wanted to do a video on heaven and hell. I didn't include too many, guys, so if people screaming, oh well, you didn't say this is hell, if you see the description and see me what I said at the beginning, I'm just including some, instead of just coming up with, right guys, I was sleeping and this 11 came to me. I wanted just to build the video up and get it out there and just show you a few of the descriptions of heaven and hell, what some of the names that they go by, and just really hone in on the reason that Christianity and the West mainly decided to call heaven heaven and hell hell, because it's 11. Still can't believe that, and obviously I will get into that. So where do we start? So if you've watched the video, you will see me talk about a few heaven and hells, and like I was just saying, I didn't want to go, you know, one of those videos that really goes through all of them, and then all of them, because time you get up to what I am, it was still about an hour, 45 minutes, an hour anyway, so it's still, you know, when we're in that Goldilocks zone of the video's too long or too short for the masses, people forget some of the points that you're making. I mean, that's why I do them bite sizes and try and reiterate some of the big points from big videos that people don't realise that I've made. People think I'm just all about Janice. You just go through my content, you'll see I'm far more than just Janos content. Janos just takes the attention because it's so significant, and that's what happened. So if people are wondering why I'm not posting as much, I just needed to take a step back a little bit because of what I do outside here. It was just getting too much where I didn't have enough free time, even for myself. Anytime I was going to have a free minute, I was thinking, no, I've not done a video for the peeps, I'll have to go research and make a video. I was having no time for myself, and it was just getting to that point is, do you know where you not detest, but you hate coming onto the computer, you hate making content because you're missing so much. It was getting a chore. All the trolls and all the wannabe people who think, you know, you're taking their information and stuff, it's crazy. So when you start giving a shit about them type of people, and you normally just laugh it off or be sarcastic, you know, because I love sarcastic humour, when you get to that time where it becomes where you actually look at the comments and you actually take it on board, and you have to take a step back and go back to what me, you know what I mean, go back to how I was, just laugh, ignore and all that, and I'm getting back there and I'm just laughing and joking. You can't stop people thinking whatever they want about you. That's one of the rules that I forgot, but you know, I see everyone as a family on here, and yes, sometimes you don't get on with family, as everyone knows, but I just try. I'm a type of person who tries to get on with everyone, and sometimes people just won't let you get on with them because they see you and tease, and that's what it is. And you're getting people who trolling or who don't see the point of, for instance, these videos when I'm talking about the 11. Oh, it's not stoic enough. You can't get any more stoic. I'm showing you the realm possibly that we live in. Tell me you can't get any bigger than finding out that hell and heaven is 11. But people just want to promote their agenda. I'm not promoting nothing. This is ideas, theories, and I say so. I'm winging it. How many of the channels you watch where they put the hand up and go, guys, we're winging it, don't take this as fact? You won't find many. People are promoting agendas and things happening, and you know what I mean, and it's wrong. And I'm just all about having a good time, a laugh, learning something new. It's information. Treat it as information. That way we don't get triggered. And that's it's beautiful. Learning something new every day. That is my goal, to learn something new every day. People just want you to learn what they want you to see. And that's not what about. I always tell people, check, you know, the information. 9 times out of 10, I'll put it on the screen. For instance, people were asking me to make a Janos video to, you know, just get to the point, Paul, so we can share it. Because we've seen all the proofs that you've shown over the years. So I'll make a video just straight to the point. And people are complaining that I'm not showing any for it. It's not like ignore the other 10, 15 videos where it's all in. People just complaining. So you can't win. And then if I say anything, I'm classing it as I'm whinging, or you know what I mean, and I'm not allowed to whinge. So how do we open my mouth? Do you get that, guys? I can't say guys, I can't say wow. So things like this, on top of looking after someone 24/7, is the reason I thought, you know what, I'm looking after myself. I've said it before in videos, you can't help people if you can't look after yourself. And I thought, you know what, I'm slowing down. I'm just going to make a video one every 3-4 weeks. If people decide to leave, it's their fault. I will get you. So you know what I mean, that's all it is. So people, I do really appreciate if they're hanging around and supporting me. It means a lot. So there we go. So I had to do something like that because obviously it's been a while and people want to know what's going on. Snowed again. It's snowing. Found you. So we were talking about heaven and hell. So I wanted to do completely something different. Just get the appetite for heaven and hell. Show different things. For instance, the little video at the beginning showing the depths into heaven, hell, and purgatory. That was medieval in the sense of it's, the 12th to 13th century. And then you had Hieronymus Bosch's vision of Eden, heaven, hell, and the warped nature of that, tying then into the cocaine, because it did remind you that everyone was just having sex. Which there's nothing against that, but you know what I mean. That was just what people were portraying at the time, because people obviously were poor, so they wanted a place like a heaven where the streets were full of food and plenty, and you didn't go without, and you could fornicate at will. So that was the type of heaven that they had in those times. So it's just intriguing, the different concepts of what is going on in this reality. What is heaven and hell? And why did they choose to call it heaven and hell? Because just look at the other Elysian fields. I know some that technically is afterlife, but it's near enough heaven. Maybe you'd have to be pedantic to say, well, technically it's not neither hell or hell, and it's maybe purgatory, or it's just in between, it's a limbo. So we can get into all that type of thing, but I just separated a few, just being hell, heaven. I didn't want to do purgatory as much, even though it feels like we're living it. Maybe I could look at that again. I have briefly looked into purgatory and different things, but I just want to do heaven and hell because it tied into that 11, which actually knocked me for 6 in a good way. And hopefully it has you, because if you've watched my videos, by the way, if anyone's new and wondering what the bloody hell he's talking about with this 11, please go back. And all my channel is categorized into playlists. So please look for the realm of 11. There is a lot of other videos put in it that a lot of 11s in it, but you will actually see the titles: the realm of 11, part 1, part 2, and then it's a genius ritualist part 3, I think, something like that. So please watch them to maybe understand the significance of what I will tell you in a minute, because I do believe it's really significant. And it's a leap. I know it's a leap of faith as such, but it just makes sense. And a lot of people have been watching videos and commenting and getting in touch and saying it just makes sense. And you know what I mean? That's all I ask people, to have an open mind. You don't like it, you don't like it. If you don't like my videos, it's good. It's like, when you get them backhanded videos. Oh, it's a great video, Paul, but it's like, don't say anything. There's constructive criticism, but there's ways and means of saying it, and people trying to twist it. It's all wrong. So heaven and hell, why did they choose to call it heaven and hell? That is what it's been going on in my mind for a while, and I finally took the plunge and made the video. Again, don't take anything I'm saying in as facts. I'm including some of its classed as folklore, and again, it's common sense. People will get triggered no matter what you say. That's down to you guys. So heaven, hell, why? Could there be something occult about it? Remember, occult means hidden. Is there a hidden agenda why the Western Christianity decided to call it heaven and hell? Because none of them were called that. You had Valhalla for Valhalla, Valhalla, and then you had all the other others that were not called heaven. I mean, think about it. Why wasn't called heaven in the Bible? Obviously for translations, and that's what it got changed into, but that's what got me. Why call it heaven and hell? Then when we look at the history of what we're told heaven and hell is, there's always got a gate or a door. They call that the pearly gates, and obviously in Greek it's the Hades, gates of Hades, or hell gates, whatever you want to call it. And it's funny that even Cerberus, the three-headed beast, is guarding Hell's Gates. So when I'm doing all the research for Janos and other topics, like the toroidal field, I'm looking into different things, and that's when it started, heaven and hell. And I looked at the etymology. I mean, briefly, if you look at heaven as, H, I thought, well, what is the etymology of H? Because it looks pretty significant. It does look like a bit like the Squatterman, doesn't it? If you go like that. I know it's curves on Squatterman, but it looks a bit like that. So I looked into the etymology of the letter H and found out that it was identical to a doorway. And I'm like, no way. So heaven and hell are both gates or doorways or portals, and they've systematically used the English language and the letter H, and it came from a door, and that is on heaven and hell. That's when the cogs started to turn. I'm like, there must be a reason. Sometimes there isn't a reason, obviously, and sometimes we do overthink things, and some things are classed as coincidence, and people say there's no such thing as a coincidence, Paul. Like these 11s, people will, even in the community today, still think, well, I'm making it all up, and everything adds to 11. If everything did add to 11, that would be even better. But it's things attached to this that make sense. It all makes sense. But again, like I've always said in every video, not to be taken as fact, it's theorising. And people get fucking the butter because they ain't found it. They ain't come up with it. Egos, again, we all have an ego. Tell me, who always says you have an ego? Me. So it just got me. They put the H on there for a reason. Because it's a door. That is the door, the gates to get in or out, or whatever way you want to look at it. Help me get out. And so that then left me to conclusion. Take the H off, and I looked at it and thought, oh my, no way. I'm left with for hell. No, rewind. So then I thought, you know what? They always reverse it. People always say, Paul, they always reverse it. The mirror image or whatever. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to put hell at the top or first. I'm like, take the H off, doorway. And I got this little bit came to me at night because all day I was thinking about, I did the gematria and I got 10. And obviously 10's a significant number. 10 was, I think, is a number for the creator. Anyway, one of them. And I was thinking, well, there's 2 doors, there's 2 H's. And no, I'm on about like that. I can't say that from the German dictator who goes H, but you know what I mean. I was thinking H, heaven, hell, and it's a doorway. And I'm thinking, I wish that was 11. That would have been a big wow. But it's a 1. So the 2 H's, the 2 doors, resemble the 2 pillars, the doorway. And it's 1, 1. So that is the 11. I know people say, well, yeah, technically 1 and 1 is 2. You'll get that. But this is how I found everything, and it just fits. So it is 11. I'm thinking, wow, that's cool. I found the 11. But then you doubt yourself as well, because you always go back and think, am I finding and making this stuff up to fit my gender? And sometimes we will do that, and you have to be honest. And that's why I try and be as honest as I can. If people don't believe me, that's their fault. And that's why I am now. I just don't care. I'm not letting these people who want to bring you down. I'm all about having a good time, a laugh, and learning new shit a day, and sharing what I find with people who I love and help me. Do you know what I mean? What better things can you do than that? So you have that 11. I thought, wow, that's good, but it's still not. Something was still eating me inside. So obviously in gematria it was 55 for heaven, which adds to 10, and 37 for hell. Oh, sun's alarm's going off. Well done. Both adding to 10. So there was the 11. And that got me thinking. The brain cogs were moving. I thought, well, Paul, you've just talked about H, because I go through what I'm going to say and how I'm going to lay it out. It sometimes in my sleep, the things that you do. And I'm thinking, I've took the H off, hell. I'm left with L. Well, all of us know what L is. You can pronounce it different. L for a deity, Elohim. There's so many, not variations on that, but L is something godly, divine. So I thought, wow, so they're talking about hell, and then I was thinking, well, if hell is something and it's divine, basically it's a door to the divine, etymology wise. And then we're talking about L, generally L, God, is supposed to be the sky, but hell's down below. So, I was thinking all these things. And I said to myself, well, take the H off, I'm left with L. I'm like, L, okay. Do the same for heaven. Heaven, doorway, take the H off. I'm left with heaven. And I went, 11. And I just woke up. And I sometimes used to have a pen handy. And I didn't have one. And I was half asleep. I'm like, Paul, I need to write this down. And it's, I used to sometimes do memory tricks for myself. I used to go to bed and say like a 16-digit number, a 10-digit number. And I had to remember that when I wake up. For fun, because that's a crazy thing you do. So I said to myself, right, Paul, remember this tomorrow and then write it down when you find a pen and a paper. Woke up, bang, wrote it down. Tell me, I want to, I don't know, in a respectful way, but the significance of that is, to me, wow. Especially when you've watched the Realm of 11 videos and seen how everything fits. We're talking about the doorway to heaven and hell, the outlets, or inlets, whatever way you want to look at it, both ways, are doorways, and what's left spells 11. Because there is a heaven, if you go back to the etymology, it looked like even, Evan. That to me is wow. And if you're one of the people who don't like me saying that, well, tough tits. I am who I am, and people have to accept it like I accept you guys. So I was like, I've done so many videos on the realm of 11. I've showed that 11 is this realm, the electric. People talk about how we're all electric. Electric was the jurisdiction of L. And I taught all that video. So go back, look at my Realm of 11 videos. Look at my circuit board video where I talk about this realm being the jurisdiction of L, being electric. I've not come across anyone who's talking about this realm. Yeah, they'll say that it's electric, but not the jurisdiction of L, the etymology. All the things that I put in these videos paint a picture. And I know I'm getting very, very close to something. And I believe I found a good chunk of it today. Heaven and hell, a doorway, the letter H. They called it that for a reason, to hide the L, Evan. You take the doorway, you open the door, you're left with the word, the spell, and it spells 11. I just went like a eureka type. And for you peeps that watch me on a regular basis and watch all them videos will know the significance of that. You tell me, there's not many topics bigger than heaven and hell when you talk to people, especially in religion. Is there? You know what I mean? Because look, places were getting tagged as being as hell, like Gehenna. They were like I said, like a shithole. People getting murdered, buried. They were burning bodies. And it got labelled as a hell. You don't want to go to there because it's hell. And different things like that was put in the video. And I don't want to go through that because you guys are smart. And the video speaks for itself. So these places were labelled as hell. Now, is this hell that I'm talking about, the specific hell where you go to be damned? Who knows? Because it's up for your perspective on life. But when you start watching these Realm of 11 videos and see the Janus aspect, and Janus is all these gods, the name behind it. For instance, Janus's oldest name is Ia, which is linked to, you can also pronounce it Ea for Enki and that. But look at heaven. H. Doorway. What's the 2 next letters? E-A. Doorway to E-A. I-A. Left leaves ven. Ven means to seek, to come. It also means to desire, to seek, to love, because it's related to the word Venus. Again, all the things associated with that. Is this not intriguing? Does this not get you excited? Doesn't matter if you think it's right or wrong. Get excited with me. Get excited for me. And heaven and hell spell 11. And I know people going, because there will people just want to drag you down to their level. Well, I want to give you 2 special 11s for you guys, and I apologise for anyone because I don't normally swear, but I'm just laughing my head off. But 2 little special 11s for the people who want to drag me down. 1 each for you guys, because I'm done with people trying to drag you down. People are always trying to drag you down to their level, and I ain't going there. I've got a hard life. And when I'm not doing that, I don't want to be going through fucking shit from idiots. And I do recommend it to everyone else. You know, life is hard, and we're all in it together. You know, we're all part of the same shoe that stands in the shit daily. And you guys want to fight. They won't say booty goose if you saw me in my face, because I won't accept it. Do you know what I mean? I always do it the old way, give people respect, thinking you're going to get it about, but you don't. So how brilliant is this? And if I big myself up, I'm egotistical. You can't win. I'm just excited, and I want to share that with you guys. And yes, I did waste a lot of the video going through other things, but it was still intriguing to learn about the different types of heaven and hell and see why they chose to call this heaven and hell. When did it technically come in? Etymology wise would have been 11th, 12th century. You'll see things, oh well, no, hell was mentioned far earlier. Yes it was, but it would have been in that native tongue. I'm on about this English speaking heaven and hell, which would have been from the Great Vow to L shift. You know, that period that people seem to don't remember that was significant in our history, and people talk about all these other things, that all these events happen. Forget about the Great Vow L shift. But hey, and who it was to. And this is why this is significant, because it's telling you that the person who has the keys, the frequency keys, Janos, and his various other names. You have Peter, who supposedly is the first pope, and I've showed you all the books in all of the videos saying it was Janos. The keys, the Vatican keys, the gold and the silver keys to the heavens and this realm. It was Peter, or should we say Peter, which means father. Janos' name is Ionos Peter, Janos father. He had the keys because he holds the frequency keys. He's a janitor. That's where the name janitor comes from. So that's why it's significant. And people say Janos evil. Janos, I just say Janos from habit. Janos is neither good, evil. He's just like us. We not capable of love, hate, being really evil. I've talked about evil being a frequency. Even when we look at this, heaven and hell, doorways. Peter guards the doors, Cerberus or whatever guards the gates of hell. We then talk about devil. Devil, the D. Etymology is from a door too. D. Evil. You know, so I've done all them videos. I did a video on evil. It's on my Odyssey page. I keep meaning to put it up. But it's when you get round to it. So that really intrigued me, guys, thinking of this heaven and hell. It's a doorway to L11. Or is this 11 the doors? The code. This is the number of the realm. That's what we've got to think of next. What is it next? Because think about it. Heaven and hell doorways. People say when you die, you go to heaven and hell, or stuck in purgatory, wherever that is. You'll go through a door, a portal. Do we stay here? Some religions believe we stay in this realm. But that 11, even when you said heaven, hell in gematria added to 11, I put that last because I know people would have said, oh well, technically it was 10 or 1, and he is putting 2 and 2 together to get that. He's not in 11. I showed it's 11 at the end. That was a little bit of me. But think about it. So these are outlets or inlets, because, you know, do we come from this realm when we are born into this realm? Are we getting pushed into this realm through the birth, through the conceivus, another name for Janos, because he's there at your birth? Is that birth technically a death into this realm? Is death seeing the role reversal out of here, either to a hell or a heaven or whatever you believe in? But what intrigued me, guys, was if you watch that Realm of 11 video and the circuit board one, because it did put in that and put into the Realm of 11, I talk about this realm being electric and a jurisdiction of hell, the etymology, and showing you the symbol that the Freemasons use with the 2 St. Johns, St. John the Evangelist and St. John the Baptist. And I'll show it on screen now for remember. Please remember, Paul. And it was a circle with a dot with the 2 St. Johns. And people saying, well, that's actually technically the pillars of Boaz. Even Freemasons don't know what it is. And you can call it the Bowman and the Bowman Jackim or whatever it is, but it's still in 11. It's still the pillars. It's still Janos. It's still the doorways. It's the portals. So you have basically like the baseline 101. You know, when you do something for the first time, you say, oh, this is a cookery 101, and it's the 11. So you got that symbol that I showed on screen, but it's also the symbol for the green lantern if you put it on the side. And I talked about them in a lot of videos. So if you've not seen these guys, you're missing some really deep shit, and people really, really enjoyed them. But the point I'm making for is that picture with the 2 St. Johns, which John is a derivative of Janos. That's the significance of it. So you got the circle, as you remember. I'm just doing it because I like talking with my hands. And then the 2 pillars at the side. Heaven and hell are the outlets or inlets. But what's funny is, and if we're all electric, and people like to use the electric symbols and imagery, have a look at this. This is a symbol for outlets in electric. Look, is that not blowing your mind? Them 2 lines have moved in. It's the same thing without the dot. So to get out here, or an outlet in an electric terms, is a symbol, an old symbol for that the Masonic people use, and they really don't know what, someone will know technically, but they don't, advertise the fact. And obviously in the middle is a circumpunct that I've done many videos on. But we're talking about heaven and hell. Are they the doorways out of this realm, the purgatory or whatever? Because sometimes it does really feel like we're living in a hell. Are we in a hell? Because when you look into the history, some of the myth laws and folklores of hell is God can still touch you and influence a little bit, but it's not that big. Because sometimes it does feel like that. It does feel more down. The frequencies are more negative. And you look at it, when you're positive, like me, or was more positive, the negativity sticks you like a fucking piece of shit on a shoe. It attracts you. It seems like that. As soon as you're more positive, negative wanted attached to you, like your toroidal field that I've done many videos on, that people think, oh well, I've copied their idea. Like, yeah, you can just see my content. I've been talking about this stuff for years. People just need to give their head a wobble and stick the egos out the door. I have no agenda whatsoever. I promote thinking for yourself. I promote go and check it for yourself. I tell you, this is just my perspective on what I see, but you're not allowed it because people want to control you just like they do. And negativity wants to attract to something positive. It wants to drag you down to it. And that's why we need you and you listening home today to keep helping me feel positive, because it's hard doing this job. It's hard because people attack you just for an agenda. I don't promote. I can't stand some channels that are getting promoted like they're fucking prophets when they're fucking rapists. But hey, you know, it's all one's perspective. It's not. That reflects us. We have a duty of care. It's like I've always laughed. People watching channels that's telling you the world is ending tomorrow, but please get my book for 66. It's like, if it's ending, why do we need your book? And I'm not even allowed to say anything because I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm giving you my points. People, when do I get a chance to talk to people? Only through my videos. So I have to speak and show you. So we have these two outlets, or receptacle, looking like the same symbol to me. Could these lines be the tunnel? Like, you know when people say you see the light at the end of the tunnel near, when you have a death experience. Some people will tell you no, don't go towards the light, go towards the dark. It's still a doorway, it's still a portal. Is this what this is? Rendition, the realm of 11. Remember in that video I described this realm from etymology, and it was a circle within two poles. That is that symbol, and that is this realm, the realm of 11. And now in English, heaven and hell are doorways to the 11. It spells 11. And then I found the symbol. I don't know if I'll get it on the screen, but basically it's similar to the symbols I've showed you, but hobo, it's a hobo sign. I don't know if it's all around the world, but in Europe it indicates that an area is not safe. And go fast through that area, and I'll draw it on so you can see it on the screen. But it's basically what we've just been discussing, and it's a circle basically like that. So where you going, Paul? So it's that same symbol, and that electrical one, if I don't find it, because sometimes things won't go put on the screen, that electrical one I'll draw underneath. And that was basically, where has it gone? I've just drawn the same thing. There we go. So I'll draw it at the bottom. It was basically like that. So you can see at the bottom, that one was for an outlet, basically a plug to take your energy. And we've talked about energy, toroidal field, and it all adds to 11. Again, how much significance can you put into this? And 11 is L11, which then you could get Elvish or anything from. And I get really, really excited, guys. I was so excited about this when it came to me weeks ago. It might have been 3 weeks ago, because I was talking to a person in the chat, and I had it then. But do we make a little short video of 5 minutes, or do we give you some, give you what the flock stuff to watch, then come up with this groundbreaking, for me anyway, video at the end, that heaven hell spell 11. And or it could be, because we're in the middle, it could be the 101. Neo's door was 101 because it had the 11 in it. And then you got to just think about it. What else? I mean, I showed you them Bosque paintings, and what was that guy on? But obviously you had the influence of cocaine in that, which I only found that later on. But when we're talking about these heaven and hells, mainly hells, and we're talking about most of them have ice or a cold place in it, like Niflheim, and obviously hell. Obviously, I always used to thought hell could be named. I think it still could, but I didn't put into the film. There's actually another goddess who died called Hela in Greek, and that was another thing. But anyway, I noticed through most of the religions and civilizations, the hell has a blue flame or a ice or cold, and one of them talked about how they had walls round. And that got me thinking, like I said in the video, do not people are talking about an ice wall. I've talked about in videos being how the energy for this realm is produced. Through electromagnetism, the ice is moving, creating spin ice, which polarizes, makes the ice magnetic. I've showed it in the videos. They're trying to they make it artificially in labs. I've got an itchy nose. So to then have these that simple and this basically talking about this realm, and obviously if you forgot, please go back and watch the Realm of 11 video, the first one. And obviously talking about the ice, and I mean even in Dante's one, no, Borelli or whatever, Bellini did it or whatever, but it still had the blue at the bottom. So all these hells have a cold place, and ice and blue. Is this where they got the Lucifer being blue and Satan, which does add to 11 in gematria. Again, that Janos number 11, because he is the janitor. But all that is just coincidence, and I'm just making shite up. You know, especially if I go, you know, like this. You know, it's ridiculous. You just have to laugh. You just have to laugh. So I just find that fascinating, guys, that all these hells have that, and people talk about this realm being flat and in a dome. I've done videos about this realm being under a liquid crystal dome and sentient. In the Crystal Matrix video, if you want to go and check that out, it's one of my old videos, but people really, really love it, showing the significance of crystal in this realm. And like I said, I come from all communities because I like to go in all communities, because it's where you find people who like to think out, like me, out the box. Out of the box, out of the box, out of the box. And so people are talking about firmaments, heaven and hell, especially heaven has been known to be called the firmament. And Bosk on these outer panels, which look like an 11, showed you heaven and hell, purgatory, being under a dome and flat. Sumerian heaven, or Eden to them, is flat. It tells you in the descriptions. So you can set that what you want, but to me what the intriguing thing was, the ice wall, the firmament around it. I've talked about the ice wall. Could that be part of where the ice, because people talk about giants being buried in the Antarctic. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I've always talked about the giants migrated, and people always talk about, well, how did he get out? We'd need doorways or portals. It's lucky that we have a Janos that they label two islands, one on either side, doorways or portals, called Janos Island. 4 years ago, I show that now. A big channel, I'm not mentioning any names, mentioned it, didn't mention me. But hey, what can we do, guys? So that could be it. Again, it's the 11. Is that the way out? Are they the heaven and hell? Is heaven and hell real? Is it spiritual? Why do we need a door if your essence, your energy goes to this place? All these things we have to think about, and what happens. For like the Anun is technically an afterlife. Some say it's the land of the fairies and whatnot. I didn't want to go into a great deal, but they say you could get to it going to deep and deep in the woods. Sometimes people say you have to go through obelisks and megaliths. Is this how the spiritual realm, fairy realm, whatever you want to call it, is this how cryptoids came into existence? They just come out of this realm. A lot of these heaven and hells talk about being covered. Heaven, dome covered, underground, hell covered. I always talked about, I mean, even at 12 in my old videos, I stood up in class and say, I believe we're an Atlantis, could have been heaven and hell, and we're underground. I've done my video that a lot of people really love, Tempest Fuji, Time Flies. I recommend people watch that. That'll blow your mind. Talking about why is it, because people talk about why there's a mud flood and levels and civilizations buried beneath the ground. It's like the layers, like a what's it called now? Westworld type of thing where it just goes down and added and added. Watch that, guys. But hopefully you've enjoyed this, guys. I've really got excited because it's just topping off the realm of 11 videos and theories that I've had on it, because more and more people now, I'm seeing them talking about the 11 ones that don't even watch my channel. But this is just, you know, taking it for me personally onto the next level. What theories, what topics are bigger than heaven and hell? You wouldn't say many, would you? And oh my god, it spells 11. The H is the door. Once you enter, because the word is a spell, it's spelled L. Heaven. Wow. And I just hope you guys can feel. I was like this when I had the sleep. I'm like, oh my god, I want to go live now. Like, it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Go live, Paul. Tell people what you found. And then the next day, my creator head was like, Paul, if you do that, you know, it's just a 5-minute rabble. Once if you just talk briefly about other heavens and other hells. And then obviously my computer's breaking down, so I've had to edit and do part 1 and part 2, and I'll put them together. Hopefully it'll work. And I'm like, no, I can't hold my excitement. And people saw that when I was in chats on other channels. Tell me, I want to know, is this just me being deluded? And yes, probably a lot will say it, but come off it. The etymology of H is a doorway, and they've used that first on hell and heaven. Open the door, leaves an L. Open the door, leaves a heaven. 11. Heaven and hell. Heaven, hell. 11 in gematria. On their own. 10, 1, 1. The doors. Exciting. And I don't know where it's going to go from here. And I will maybe delve more into looking at now what could this mean in this realm wise. But when you start putting it all together, them 11 videos, the circuit board videos with the electric, where I found the jurisdiction. If electric split up meant the jurisdiction of L. And then I found the etymology made that symbol. So guys, I hopefully you appreciate it. Please, please, because I'm being YouTubed beyond belief. I'm not seeing any really sub count go up. And I've seen other channels that, you know, are getting 10k, 15k, and we're not moving. And we can hold our own. So please like, share and subscribe. If you can't help with buy me coffee, the link's in the description. Again, that's, you know, if I could give you all a kiss or a hug, I would. So thank you guys, take care. I'll see you in the premiere, and hopefully I can get another video done, you know, in decent time, and we can all have a laugh and while we're learning as well, guys. I love you, take care, stay safe, always wear a smile, and don't let those bar stools grab us and bring us down. Take care. Bye guys.